In today's video, I'm going to break down how the global financial system actually works, how the game is played, how it's rigged against you, and what you can do to start winning.
There's enough cash in the financial system, and there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve. We will do whatever we need to do to make sure that there's enough cash in the banking system.
The Federal Reserve and the global banking system have rigged the entire game in their favor to keep the entire world running around the board just trying to pass go, collect their $200 and survive another turn. But who exactly are we talking about here? In the real world banking monopoly, the Federal Reserve is the monopoly man, acting as a board of 7 unelected members that have control over the game's money supply and monetary policy for the whole world sitting at the table. The commercial banking system acts as the banker and sits under the Federal Reserve and provides services to the public, and they also invest in assets themselves. The wealthy player understands the rules of the game better than your average person and has been playing for a while. And then we have the average player. The average player doesn't understand the rules, starts at go, and is just trying to get around the board. Now, the question we have to ask is how? How do they rig the rules? In traditional Monopoly, each game comes with a set number of bills. In order to get more, you would have to purchase another set of the game. In the real world, the Federal Reserve has the ability to print more bills whenever they want to and add them into the game. Now, while the Federal Reserve started in 1913, they originally had to have gold to back any new bills that they added into the game. But in 1971, the rules changed and they removed the requirement for the Federal Reserve to have gold backing new bills. Now, this completely changed the way that the game is played. The modern term for this process is called quantitative easing, and simply put, what they're doing is they're just printing money and adding more bills into the financial system. Examples of this happening are in 2008 during the Great Financial Crisis, and then again in March of 2020 during the COVID crash. The Federal Reserve stepped in and bought bonds from the banking system to ensure that they all had cash on hand. Now, unlike in the game, they don't have to wait for players to pass go. If the banking system needs cash, money just appears. This gives the banker an unlimited backstop of cash from the Federal Reserve and an unfair advantage in the game. Now, the bankers don't just get unlimited cash from the Fed, they also have the ability to buy up property on the board using your deposits. In 2020, the Federal Reserve lowered the bank reserve requirement, which means that the banks had the ability to invest and lend out 100% of customer deposits for additional profit. Now, as a result of this, if all of the players on the board decided they wanted all of their cash out at the same time, the banks wouldn't have the ability to pay all of them out. So in turn, they rely on the monopoly man to lend them cash or buy some of their property back to give them cash to pay out new players if they're running into this problem. The Federal Reserve basically changed the rules from the top down, and this has a massive effect on how the entire game is played out. Interest rates are a huge part of the game, and they act as the price you pay to borrow money. Unlike in the game, debt can be used by almost everybody for different purposes, but not all debt is created equal, and all of the players get different terms and rates when it comes to borrowing money. Federal Reserve sets this interest rate and has a lot of impact on keeping interest rates lower if they want to by purchasing bonds from banks. What this does is this creates artificial demand and drives interest rates lower. Most of the average players on the board get the highest interest rates possible using things like credit cards for consumer purchases and shopping. This debt works directly against the average player because they're purchasing depreciating assets and experiences using the most expensive debt possible, and this effect starts to compound over time. All of the other players, like the banker and the wealthy player, use debt to purchase property on the board. This actively works for them, and the compounding works the opposite way in that it becomes easier to get around the board for them over time. As a result of this, all of the property on the board goes up as the wealthy players use cheap debt to buy assets on the board. They then continue to get further and further ahead in the game and can keep raising rents on the board for the average players. New dollars entering the system chasing the same amount of property on the board forces all of the prices of property up. And this is what we refer to as inflation. So just like in the game, it makes it more expensive and difficult for the average player to get around the board if they don't have access to property and cheap loans, as well as an infinite amount of cash as a backstop from the Federal Reserve. Everyday wages for the average player don't keep up with rising rents and property costs, and as a result, ownership of the board gets further and further concentrated into the hands of the wealthy players. This is how things have worked for a long time, but why is this more of a problem now than it has been in the past? This is a huge problem because as the Federal Reserve keeps printing new bills, it gets significantly more difficult for the average player to just get around the board. Debt levels from all players are out of control, as we've seen debt levels exploding when compared to GDP in the United States. Interest expenses on the debt are at all-time highs and continue to climb. If the Federal Reserve stops printing, interest rates would start to rise too quickly because there's less demand in the bond market. This makes things exponentially more expensive for everyone from governments to businesses and families. Suddenly, players are forced to sell, prices start to fall, and the debt starts to spiral, and the board falls apart. This is what is referred to as deflation. And it's my opinion that they will not let this happen. I mean, they don't call it monopoly for nothing, right? So what will they do? They will continue to print money, prop up the system, and boost asset prices while devaluing the currency. We all know if you've played Monopoly as a kid, the way to win is to buy up as much of the board as you possibly can. This helps you pay rents easily, get around the board, and not rely on your Go money to survive. Now, in the real world, interest rates are used to price everything from bonds to real estate to the stock market. But when the Federal Reserve can press a button to print money and keep interest rates artificially low and manipulated, it starts to misprice everything in the economy. This is the reason most people are stuck just trying to pass Go and no one can afford their own property anymore. So like Boardwalk in the game of Monopoly, the location of the property and the scarcity of it increase the market price. More dollars printed by the Federal Reserve chasing the same number of assets and property on the board pushes the market price of everything up at a faster and faster rate. In Monopoly, how do you win? You win by going from an average player just trying to pass Go to owning property on the board in the real world. Now the question you have to ask is where? Where do you put your money? You win by investing your money in the scarcest property on the board. Now I believe that Bitcoin is better than Boardwalk because it's not dependent on where you live, how much property you already own, or what your credit score is. Everyone in the world has access to it. No one can print more of it, and the rules are fixed. Bitcoin wasn't created as a fun way to buy a cup of coffee. It was created to put a check and a balance on the monopoly that central banks have on printing money. It's a finite asset in a game full of unlimited bills, manipulated interest rates, and property values. Now, you don't have to buy Bitcoin. There's other property that exists, like the electric companies or the railroads of the game, that would be stocks or bonds. But why would you buy these if there's a property that exists that's better than Boardwalk? Now, I put all my money into Bitcoin 5 years ago, not because I wanted to take a risky bet or a gamble, just hoping that it would pay off, but because I figured out how the game actually worked and decided that I wanted to start winning. My name's Austin. I talk about money. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.